right. Good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Wednesday. Starting off, what are we going to talk about tonight? Good amount of stuff to talk about tonight. We will talk about the dense fog tonight through Thursday morning, widespread in the low country and the coastal areas. We also will talk about our unseasonably warm temperatures that persist into early next week. Mostly dry conditions through midweek, low precipitation confidence, and then also an increasing shower slash thunderstorm chance that goes all the way from the late week, really being Friday, Saturday, maybe even a bit on Sunday as well. All of that we will talk about as we get into today. So let's go on and first off say it is Wednesday evening, and so you know what that means. We are halfway through the work week. Let's go and give ourselves a round of applause. So we've made it all the way to Wednesday. Got Thursday and Friday left to go, and we will be there to the weekend. That's number 2. Number 3, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Right now we have around a good 5 people watching, only 3 likes right now, so go and hit the like button. Also, make sure that you go in and hit the subscribe button. We are at 712, trying to get to 800. Also, hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to, and people that you may not even like, because it is free, and you can change your mind anytime. They can change their mind at any time. Anybody in the world can change their mind at any time if they want to. So let's go in and look at the live radar. Currently, right now, there is nothing going on throughout the entire state of South Carolina. Absolutely nothing. We are good to go. If we see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., though, that is obviously not going to be the case here. We have some rainfall. In fact, some severe weather going on, especially down there inside of Texas. Texas right now has some severe weather going on over here near the Dallas area, going on over there just to the south of Fort Worth as well. Maybe some flash flooding even ongoing near Dallas, in Dallas as well. So they're getting a lot of rainfall down there. Rainfall going on in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, going on inside of Kansas, parts of western Kentucky, southern Illinois, good amount of Indiana, Ohio, and then even in southern Michigan. We have some rainfall over there. Rainfall also in West Virginia, going on in Delaware. Some snowfall at the very northern tip of Maine, and then just some activity going on over here in the west. We have rainfall, snowfall, mixed precipitation going on all throughout this northwestern area of the U.S. So what is going on right now in terms of cloud cover? Cloud cover right now actually seems relatively fine. We have some cloud cover up there inside the very far upstate. We see some cloud cover on the eastern side, but low country looks fine. Southern Midlands look pretty good. And it looks like for the most part that we are more clear than cloudy right now for a good amount of us. And you can even see our cloud cover as we go throughout the future. We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. As you go in and push this forward, you can see definitely that sea fog going on. See all that cloud cover that we have over there near the coastal areas? That being like the low country going on over there inside of the PD and the Grand Strand areas, that coastal area. That's sea fog that you see right there. As well as if you go on over into the upstate, Midland, you see some cloud cover up there. But look at that fog cover as it tries to push its way inland, more in towards the low country, more in towards the Grand Strand areas as well. Upstate still continues to see their cloud cover. And then as you go all the way through, here's like 6 o'clock in the morning, fog cover now going throughout the entire low country. The entire low country covered with fog by the time you get through here around like 6 o'clock, going on all the way through 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, going on over into 8 o'clock in the morning. And then, it just kind of goes away after a while, and we actually clear out a good bit as we go into the afternoon. And as we continue going to the evening, back into the nighttime hours, here's Friday morning, 12 o'clock in the morning. Just look at how clear it looks. I wish that this was the night that we had for the lunar eclipse, but obviously that didn't happen. But we continue this forward. Friday, going into Friday Morning, this is still mostly cloudy, but then as we get throughout the day, especially in the low country, the Grand Strand, the PD areas, things start to clear off a little bit. So, cloud cover is still just continuing to be crazy as we go throughout the next 48 hours. If we go on and look at our current temperature, so this is what's currently going on right now. You see right now currently 61 in Somerville as well as 59 in Charleston, 61 in Beaufort as well as 60 in Hilton Head Island, 59 inside of Georgetown, even around a good 58 inside of Myrtle Beach, 59 Conway, and 62 in Orangeburg, 61 Sumter and Hartsville, as well as 60 in Lugoff, 62 Columbia, and 60 in Newberry and Greenwood, 62 in Anderson, and 62 in Clemson, 61 Greenville, 62 in Spartanburg, and even around a good 61 in Gaffney and York. Now for your air quality, looks like for the most part that we are mostly inside of that moderate area. Now, moderate, that is not bad, not abnormal. We're used to the moderate areas at this point. But that covers all the upstate, the Midland, the PD areas. The only area right now that's not really in that moderate area, that's actually in the good area, which is better than the moderate, is the low country and the Grand Strand area. So those are the only areas right now that are not inside the moderate area right now. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around a good 53 in Greenville, 53 Spartanburg, as well as Rock Hill, 53 also inside of Lawrence, and 54 in Greenwood, 55 in Columbia, as well as a good 56 in Sumter and Aiken, 57 in Orangeburg, and 55 in Barnwell and Walterboro, 56 in Moncks Corner, and 57 in Charleston, 58 Hilton Head Island, as well as a good 57 in Georgetown, 57 Florence, Dillon, Myrtle Beach. High temperatures for tomorrow, you have around a good 77 in Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill, Anderson, Lawrence, Winnsboro. All of those areas, 77, 78, Greenwood, going on over into Walterboro, going into Moncks Corner, 78, 79 in Florence, in Cheraw, Sumter, going open to Camden, Orangeburg, Aiken's included in there, 73 in Hilton Head Island, as well as 72 in Charleston, 74 in Georgetown, and 71 in Myrtle Beach. So these temperatures are going to stay nice and warm for us as we go into tomorrow. And even if we go on and look at our rainfall for the next 24 hours, what do you see? Absolutely nothing. Nice and dry in terms of accumulation, and you will not need that rain gear as we go throughout tomorrow. Now for the crazy score. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And right now we are at a 32. Why are we at a 32? Well, it's mainly because, number one, fog, especially those coastal counties. Sea fog being one of those areas. Inland Valley areas, the Midland areas south of I-20. Patchy to dense fog may develop late night / early morning. Possible vicinity reductions on rural roads, bridges, overpasses. And like I said, some could potentially be dense. Yeah, I think we saw a dense fog advisory this morning in the low country. And it was foggy. It was foggy while I was on the way to school this morning. So, probably around the same thing tomorrow. I don't know if it'll last as long. Right now it says before 9 a.m. or so, but it's going to be different for everybody. So, everybody from the Midlands to the PD areas to the low country, coastal areas, Grand Strand areas needs to be watching out for fog cover as you go through tonight, but especially as you go into tomorrow morning. Calm winds, that favors that fog development. Good radiational cooling setup. Upstate definitely has the lowest risk, though. But for the most part, that's about it. For tonight. In terms of the crazy score. Now let's go on and look at the SPC outlook for tonight. Thunderstorms not expected. No thunderstorms are expected here. As we go into tomorrow, thunderstorms again not expected. And then finally we go into Friday, March the 6th, 2026. Thunderstorms possible on Friday. You can see mainly in the upstate areas, Midland areas, in the western PD areas as well. Thunderstorms are possible. So make sure that you are prepared for a thunderstorm to potentially occur on Friday. Thunderstorms can always occur. No matter, the range from weak to strong on these type of days. So you never know. Make sure that you are prepared for it, though, because thunderstorms can always include, frequent lightning, small hail, gusty winds. And then for our fire weather outlook, no fire weather is expected. Excessive rainfall, we are good there. No flash flooding is expected. So let's go on now and look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that because that is very, very important to know. We start off here at around 9 o'clock p.m. You go on and push this forward, and what do you see? Absolutely nothing. Nice and dry all the way throughout tonight. Going into tomorrow morning, now we go. And you're not seeing still barely anything. You're seeing some showers just to the south of us by 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday. But then you finally start to see some of that shower activity start to move into the north and east, up into the upstate of South Carolina. Now that goes through all the way to around 4 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So, that's more than 24 hours out into the future. And so you start to see some shower, maybe even some moderate precipitation going on early in the morning on Friday inside of the upstate. You continue this forward even more and look at how that rainfall tries to disperse a little bit more. This is Friday going on to around 9 o'clock in the morning. And now we're seeing some nice morning rainfall all the way like from the southern Midlands all the way up into the Rock Hill areas. That goes all the way through to around noon. Noon, still looking at some rainfall potentially now in the parts of the Midlands now at this point. But a lot and the majority of that rainfall is occurring inside of the upstate, even as you move into the afternoon. Now, I do see some showers maybe trying to develop a bit into the low country by the time you get into Friday evening. We'll watch that as well. But for right now, looking like the majority of this rainfall will be up inside of the upstate. So that's just for the short-term future. What about for the long-term future? Looks like for the most part, as we start off here at the 54-hour mark, that pretty much what I was talking about in terms of the shower activity is still going on. And we'll go back actually and talk about the thunderstorm risk as well and see what the thunderstorms have to show there. But we start off here Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. You go on and push this forward, and you aren't really seeing widespread rainfall. That's something that I'm not really seeing from this setup here as we go into the later part of this week. You're not really looking at a full-on widespread statewide rainfall event. Now, if you go on and push this forward all the way through Saturday, going on all the way into like Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, what do you notice? Some more rainfall, again inside of the upstate. And so that goes all the way through Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday night, going into Sunday morning. What do you see? A little bit more rainfall, now covering a bit more of a wider vicinity. Looks like from the long-term model perspective that it's mostly light to maybe moderate. I'm not really seeing anything too heavy in terms of this precipitation, but again, it's a long-term model. And from what you can see, even as we go into Monday morning, it still says that we may still have rainfall going on throughout the state, even as we're done with the weekend. It still has rainfall going on throughout a good amount of the state. Now that goes all the way through Monday evening. You can still see more rainfall still going on. You go all the way through Tuesday. What do you see Tuesday? Tuesday definitely a lot drier. Tuesday is definitely a lot drier, but I still do see maybe some coastal shower activity and still maybe spotty shower activity. We continue our way through Wednesday. Wednesday comes along, rainfall still prominent. And this is what I'm really watching for. I told y'all I was watching for the later next week parts, around 100 to 200, like more like 190 to like 200 plus hours out. Because this is the system right here that I'm looking at. And you can see rainfall, it does get going, does definitely get going. By the time we get into around Thursday, March the 12th, and, could be some daytime rainfall, could be some nighttime rainfall incorporated with it as well as we go into next week, the later parts. But that system gets here, and it definitely does drop a good amount of rainfall. This is what we want to see in terms of the drought monitor, because we want to see that drought go down. This is what the drought looks like. And so we want to continue to see that drought go down more and more and more and more and more. But if we're just getting this light rainfall activity, that's not really going to do what it needs to do. Not going to do what it needs to do. We need to get that heavy rainfall getting in the areas that has the biggest drought. And so we want rainfall. Everybody in the entire state of South Carolina should be wanting rainfall because everybody's inside of a drought right now. Doesn't matter if you're in the upstate, doesn't matter if you're in the Midlands, Low Country, PD areas, Grand Strand, doesn't matter. You're inside of a drought right now, so you should want the rainfall. You should definitely want the rainfall. But if you continue your way through all the way past into next week Friday, still we're looking at some more rainfall activity throughout the state. And then by time we get into the weekend, as soon as the weekend happens, what do you notice? Nice, dry activity. So, good. Hopefully that rainfall definitely gave us a good amount. But it doesn't really seem to bring anything too crazy in terms of like cold conditions. The main thing that I'm watching for in terms of cold conditions is as we move into Sunday night, Monday morning. What do you see? You see cold air rushing into the state of South Carolina once you get into not next week Monday, but the week after next week Monday. So we'll continue to watch and see how this cold air right here really develops. But we talked about this last night as well. And how this cold air right here would kind of rush in. Not, during the main little system that we're going to have, Thursday and the Friday of next week, but the week after next week, going into the early parts of the week, is when that cold air was going to try and rush in. And you can already see taking over as we get through Monday, Tuesday, and things really start to dry back up until potentially a bit later that week. So, one thing that I will say is that the weather is still going to continue to change. It's still going to continue to change by with patterns and with different sorts of events. Let's go on real quick and do something that we usually don't do. Check out another model real quick for the long term. Let's check out the European model real quick because we don't check out the European model often. So I want to go in and just check it out real quick and see what it has to say. Here's the 7. We're going to start off where we just ended off, 7 p.m. right here. This is what the European model has to say. We're going to go through this one a lot quicker than the first one. But one thing I will say is that even as we go through Thursday, getting through Friday, you're still seeing that rainfall activity inside the upstate. But as we go through Saturday and especially Sunday, you really start to see a good amount of rainfall starting to go on throughout a lot of these areas, rather it be inside the Low Country or the PD areas or the upstate areas. You can start to see stuff more in depth. The only thing with this model, though, is it definitely has a lot more hidden intervals in it. It goes, instead of it being like every 3 hours, it's every 6 hours. So it kind of skips a little bit more. But, I mean, we can continue this forward, and you can see still rainfall as we go into next week. Going into next week, Monday, we move into Tuesday, things dry off a little bit. And then as you continue through Wednesday, going into especially Thursday, I mean, this is what the system right here is going to look like according to the European model. So, you may look at this and say, oh, well, that's definitely a cold front right there. And if you go in, and look at the anomalies for it, I have to check it out on the GFS, but that's 192 hours out. You go in and look at the anomalies for it. What do you see? I mean, you see like maybe some cooler air trying to move its way through, and it does, but that warm air just comes right back right after. So it's not like the one that we see as we go into Monday, like the 16th, to where we really feel it. So this could right here be a potentially a little weak cold front, but that may last like a little bit, but it's not really going to be like a long lasting cold front as we go into next week, like the later parts. Now that pushes out, goes away, and it has us being dry as we go through Friday, as we go through Saturday, as we go through a little bit of Sunday. You go through the morning times, going to the afternoon, it's, raining a little bit inside of the upstate, but what do you notice? Another cold front coming through, same as the GFS. The Euro and the GFS are kind of both on the same page, but I think that the European says that it's going to hit, instead of it being late night Sunday going to early morning Monday, I think it's more of afternoon time Monday, maybe even evening time Monday as well. So timing there still has to be a bit refined, but for the most part, both of these models are pretty connected with one another. Just some key differences here and there, but we'll see what happens, especially as we get more and more into the shorter and more midterm. So speaking of, let's go and look at the temperature anomaly. So we're going to start off here 10 o'clock p.m. We continue our way forward. We go all the way through Thursday, going into Friday. 20 degrees above average day after day after day after day after day, until we go into this weekend, and you start to see temperatures still 20 degrees above average. Then as you go all the way through Tuesday, still 20 degrees above average. Wednesday, still 20 degrees above average. Thursday, same thing. But there goes that system that I was just talking about as we go into later next week, Thursday and Friday. And like I said, that could potentially bring some cooler air with it. It definitely will bring us more to just near normal as we go through Friday afternoon. And we will just be around, 2 degrees below average. You see some 4 degrees, 5 degrees below average as we go into like Friday of next week. But that warm air immediately comes back. By the time we get through Sunday, going into Monday of next week, or the week after next week. But there goes the big cold front that we're talking about as we go into mid-March here. And what do you see? Still kind of like a barrier between the cold air and the warm air. And usually you would see this and you'd be like, oh, severe weather definitely could be possible here. And like I said, the convection, that's what has to show up. If the convection doesn't show up here, you're not going to see that. So we'll see what happens. I've had some people tell me that they think that severe weather is possible, on Monday. And when I say Monday, I'm not talking about like the week after next week Monday, but like next week Monday. And, I went on and checked, which I knew I have this tab pulled up. There it is right there. I go in and check out the SPC Outlook, go in and check out the, the CSU, the CIPS model, and they don't really say too much in terms of severe weather for Monday. So, we'll see what happens there, but it doesn't really say too much in terms of anything about severe weather on Monday. So, I guess I'll see what happens with that, but I don't really see anything right now really pointing towards it right now. But back to this though, we go back into like the middle part of March here, and there goes the big cold from dropping us 10 to 20 degrees below average throughout the state, and that goes all the way throughout that week too. So we will warm back up as we get more and more into the weekend, but looks like for sure a cool down is coming back. Don't think that warm air is going to be here forever. It's definitely not. Definitely is not. We're warm now. I mean, we're 70s, we're 80s. We're going to continue to have that fun in the sun for, if we don't get cloud cover for 2 seconds. Fun in the sun. So that's what we're at least looking like here. But then as we go into that Friday, there you go. You can start to see temperatures starting to drop a little bit, but they come right back. The main thing that I'm watching for is this right here. This goes Monday. There goes that big system right here as we go into the week after next week, Monday. And then we have freezing temperatures potentially trying to rush their way through. And we can even go on and look at the ensembles as well and see what's going to happen in terms of a more mean scale, more average scale, when you have a bunch of models and members put together, and see what they have to say. And for the most part, what does it say? I mean, it says for the most part that as that cold air right there rushes its way through, it doesn't really have it being as cold. It won't really have it being as cold, but down to like the 40s. I see maybe some low 40s. But I'm not really seeing anything in terms of freezing from the ensembles here. Again, it is, 300 hours out, so things will change and things will get more and more accurate as we continue throughout the next 200 to 300 hours or so. But freezing temperatures are potentially going to try and come back as we go into mid-March. So we are not done. We are not done with freezing temperatures potentially, and we are sure not done with cold air yet. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say here for the long-term future. A lot of stuff to take in tonight. Let me make sure I got everything. Seemed like I did. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with Maya Lewis, she says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a great day." Well, thank you so much for that. Today in Georgetown, it was beautiful. Well, thank you so much for that and that weather update. Mr. Anthony says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." Mr. Chris also says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day." Good evening to the both of y'all. And then my Nana also says, "Hello, Jay. Hello to you." Maya Lewis says, "Temperature got up to 73 degrees." And Mr. Chris says, "Very nice today." And Monk's Corner got to around 80. Well, right now at my house, the high temperature for me today was around a good 77 today. Mr. Chris says, "Please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free and it helps the channel grow." He's absolutely correct. Right now we have around a good 18 people that have tuned in, 5 likes. So go and hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button. We are at 712 last time I checked, trying to get to 800. Milo says, "Currently our weather is at 59 degrees. 59 degrees right now. My house is around 60. So only about a degree off. That's it. Only about a degree off or so." Continue our way down. Ms. Chris says currently it's 64. My Nan says, "What an awesome, beautiful day. I spent lots of time outside. My yard is a real mess, but I love my new deck. Lots of mess to clean up." Well, you will go and get that stuff cleaned up, hopefully relatively soon, with a lot of outdoor time. Ms. Chris says, "Same here. Loved every second of the day." Maya Lewis says, we're talking to somebody else, excuse me. Maybe halfway, yes. Maya Lewis's nephew, "I'm working on some subscribers." Glad to hear that. Same thing on my end as well. Also getting some more people to subscribe myself as well. Might have to do the cleanup. And then Thad says, "Good evening, just from the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well. All is well with me." So thank you so much for that. Maya Lewis says, "Georgetown has some dense fog this morning." Same thing at my house. Had some dense fog around while I was leaving around 9. Probably around probably not around 9. Probably a bit earlier than that, like 8:45, 8:50 or so while I was leaving. And there was some fog definitely going on. That said, it was a beautiful day here in San Antonio. Very breezy. I know that it is actually still a bit breezy out there right now. Topped at around 85-ish. And I also planted a few more fruit trees and fertilized my raised beds. Well, that's great to hear. Glad that you got some outside time as well. Mr. Chris says the fog wasn't really that bad in Monk's Corner. Milo says we can still use some more rain. Absolutely. Still inside that drought. And then Trail says, "Greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. Beautiful day here. Glad to hear that." I'm glad the cold front will not be as bad as it was before. It won't be bad for next week, like the later parts, but week after next week, we may be talking about something else there. I don't think I can take any more cold. Well, like I said, we're just going to have to continue to wait, see what happens there. But for right now, I think that for now, we're good. We'll see what happens as we continue into next week, especially the later parts. But for right now, seems like that we are good. So now, starting off, let's go in and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations, what are you talking about? I thought this was a South Carolina only channel. Absolutely not. We're talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go in and give them their forecast for them. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight, 69. High temperatures tomorrow at around 86. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 69 as well. Slight chance of thunderstorms tonight. And then as you get into tomorrow, you actually have a slight chance of showers. Tomorrow night seems like a chance of showers / storms as you get into tomorrow night. So make sure that you are prepared for that. In terms of your severe weather, no severe weather tonight or tomorrow, but Friday, March the 6th, 2026, you have a marginal risk of severe weather, so make sure that you are prepared for that, as you may have to be talking about some severe weather on that day. Now, only a level 1 out of 5, a marginal risk, the lowest of the low. Isolated severe storms are possible. So, we'll see what the risks are as we get into tomorrow night, and then also especially Friday. But, Friday, the event may already be over by that time. But we'll especially talk about it tomorrow night, if you are still in the risk, that is. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, Saturday and Sunday, we talked about it a bit last night, saying how you actually had a little bit of a chance for some flash flooding tonight, or not tonight, but Saturday going into Sunday. And right now, it seems like that the risk is still there. So maybe talking about some weekend flash flooding, it's definitely possible. So make sure that you are also watching out for that as well. Then for your future, looks like for the most part, like you said, it was breezy, still a bit breezy. Gusts as high as 30 miles per hour still going on right now. But as you continue throughout the future, looks like that you will continue to have a rainy, just stormy week in general. 20% chance tomorrow, 60% chance on Friday, 80% chance on Saturday, Sunday, 80% of rainfall I'm talking about. So you will continue to just have an active, just rest of your week, even into early next week. Tuesday, 50% chance. Tuesday night, 40%. So you definitely will continue to stay there. And then in terms of your high temperatures, they're going to continue to stay up into the 80s. You may have some 70s on Sunday, but for the most part, 80s is where it seems like you're going to be at. Then what about for Raleigh? You have low temperatures tonight at around 55, high temperatures tomorrow at around 79, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 60. Patchy fog definitely is possible tomorrow, really expected as you go throughout tomorrow morning. Now, for the most part, it looks like that precipitation, that's not expected until around like Sunday of next week, being this weekend. No severe weather, no excessive rainfall for you, and it looks like you're going to stay dry. Now, in terms of your temperatures will continue to stay up into the 70s and 80s. Yes, you can see 79. I know a lot of people are probably really excited about that from the fact that, it's been a long time. Probably since last year, since Raleigh has been up into the 80s. And so that's coming on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it will even continue into next week as well. Now for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at around 42, high temperatures tomorrow at around 50, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 39. Chance of rainfall tonight, and rain is expected tomorrow and tomorrow night. Patchy fog is also expected tonight and tomorrow as well. And then in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, that's not expected either. For your future, it looks like that you will continue to warm up, even as you go into next week, even into like this weekend. Highs are going to be up into the 60s. You go into Tuesday and Wednesday, highs in the mid 70s. Precipitation will unfortunately continue as you go all the way throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday as well, and then maybe even into midweek next week as well. So make sure that you are prepared for that. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, probably one of the most active areas with low temperatures tonight around 53, high temperatures tomorrow at around 75, and then low temperatures tomorrow night 61. Showers are likely tonight, chance of showers tomorrow, and tomorrow night showers and thunderstorms are likely. That will continue with the threat of severe weather that goes throughout tonight. I had it up, all the things up, but for right now, it looks like that you are trying to find your area right. Oh, it's all the way down here. Yeah, seems like you're in the clear for severe weather for tonight. For now. You will definitely see another risk of some severe weather tomorrow. 2% chance of tornadoes, 5% chance of damaging winds, and a 5% chance of damaging hail with a SIG 1. I don't know if y'all have heard already, but the National Weather Service has put out a new system that they put out to go on and say stuff for severe weather. And so, for the most part, it's pretty much almost the same thing, except for they just added new hatch risks, they added new events and stuff like that. And so, For the most part, a SIG 1, that's the lowest of the low in terms of hatch risk, but that is for tomorrow. That is for tomorrow. So make sure that you are watching out for some damaging wind risk. Let me turn that off because that almost was bad. And that goes all the way, like I said, for hail into tomorrow. So make sure you're paying attention for that. And then in terms of Friday, Friday is your big day. Friday, slight risk of severe weather. That is for a 15% probability of severe weather on Friday. And then again on Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026, you also have another risk of severe weather. A slight risk already in effect for you already. So I've been saying severe weather season is coming back. I mean, this is proof of it. I mean, we're getting back to back. We're getting a train of severe weathers going on all the way inside the central parts of the U.S. So speaking of, the U.S. and just what's going on weather news-wise, several rounds of severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall are forecast from the southern plains to the Midwest through Friday. Large hail, damaging wind gusts, and tornadoes are possible. A significant warm-up is expected for much of the eastern U.S. into next week, and several daily record temperature records are likely to be broken. Fire weather concerns will return to the central and the southern high plains as well. And then we also will see some dense fog, not only throughout South Carolina, but throughout parts of Florida, parts of like coastal Louisiana, eastern North Dakota, Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin is also included in there. And we're also going to see a lot of winter weather and just unsettled weather in general going on over there inside the west. So a lot of things going on. And for the most part, it looks like that we will continue to be active. But one of the main things that a lot of people have been talking about is that severe weather risk that goes on for a good amount of the U.S. You go into tonight, the one for tonight, Dallas is included. We already talked about that risk for tonight. Goes throughout parts of Dallas, goes throughout parts of southern Illinois as well, parts of Evansville. And then tomorrow, there is another risk of severe weather over there. Wichita, Kansas is included, Lubbock, Texas, Des Moines, Iowa is included, Lincoln, Nebraska, Kansas City, Oklahoma City has a risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Then on day 3, being the biggest day, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Tulsa, going into Overland Park, Kansas. Those areas have the highest risk of severe weather on Friday. Chicago has a risk on Friday. Dallas, going on over into Austin, Texas, Shreveport, and just a lot of other areas. Little Rock's included, San Antonio's included. That's all for day 3 on Friday. So if you know anybody from Green Bay down through Chicago all the way into parts of southern Texas, northwestern Louisiana, and Shreveport as well, let them know severe weather is coming. Severe weather is coming for them, and like I said, doesn't stop. Continues all the way through day 7, that being on Tuesday throughout that same area, Missouri down through Oklahoma and Texas again. So that's all I have to say there for the long-term future of the U.S. And so for the most part, it looks like that we are done here for tonight. Let me go and check out the chat right now. Seems like Thad says, well, I'm loving this weather. I hope we get all the rain that's been forecast for San Antonio. Hopefully y'all do. And Miss Chris says, everyone, please stay safe, warm, or stay safe and hydrated. Going to be warm. So probably should stay cool if you are warm. But I think that's about all that I have to say here for tonight. Don't have anything else. Top fans of the night for tonight. Before we leave, it is still that same back and forth competition. Let me go on and get them up real quick. See around 4 points so far. 5, that's 6. Wait, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points. And I see 1, 2, oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So Mr. Chris at number 1 for tonight. And somebody's calling my phone. Do apologize for that. Mr. Chris at number 1 for tonight. Milo's at number 2. And then Thad is at number 3. So congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Again, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to be a part of it and also be a subscriber, be here early, being active inside of the chat as well. And for the most part, I think that's about all I have to say. So make sure that you tune back in tomorrow morning for your Thursday morning forecast update. Same thing tomorrow evening for your Thursday evening forecast update. Drought monitor tomorrow. Drought monitor will be tomorrow. Predictions will be out for that. I'm going to go and let y'all go because it's already 9:40. And everyone have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday evening. Make sure you go and hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you're new.